Listen. So Nic Cage is at that point where he doesn't even need to say lines on screen. Like, this is easily one of the goofiest movies that has some of the most rehearsal-type acting, a script that's barely stapled together, and effects that look like crusty sock puppets from the 80s. And I had a blast with it. This thing is just under 90 minutes and comes from the second most respected movie studio, and honestly is the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that delivers more than the Five Nights at Freddy movie. Like, this came out during COVID, but this would have killed at midnight screenings. And having seen Cage haunting nightmares and dream scenario, and also in a Western where they strapped a bomb to his neck, one in each testy. Testicle! Him fighting evil animatronics is a walk in the park. Let me explain. So the movie centers around this town that's pretty much known for their play place known as WILLY'S Wonderland, and it's so major, they even put it on their welcome sign. One day, a no-name man drives through who doesn't even speak. This man just stares out into space and talks in onomatopoeias.
Welcome to WILLY'S Wonderland.
Yeah, he don't talk much.
And I respect that.
I mean stares. More than a middle schooler. Since he doesn't have enough cash to pay the mechanic, he gets set up to work it off at WILLY'S Wonderland, and this man takes the job faster than Nick took the film.
He was given the script on a Friday, and on a Monday morning, he was like, when am I clocking in for work?
He's now known as just simply the janitor and gets dropped off at this abandoned Jeepers that looks disgusting. Like, I'm talking atrocious. He's now scrub-a-dub-dubbing every single corner as he drinks more of this punch drink than Posty does Bud Light. This man even has a timer for his drinks. After feeling the creepy presence of these animatronics, it's the ostrich that lays down first blood, and these two immediately face off. And look, it's pretty goofy. Like, besides that mean mug stare that they have at the beginning, most of it looks like this dude is beating up styrofoam. Like, it's the worst unboxing gone wrong. But I wish they would have left this bit from the behind the scenes where, after stripping out its core like a predator, he hugs it and kisses it right in the head. It's peak Nic Cage, and it also could have added to a theory that people have had that he used to go to this place as a kid. He switches out clothes since they have more shirts than a merch store, and we keep seeing him clean around the place with precision. But it really don't matter since he's about to splatter robot brains all over the place. The next fight ends up being in the bathroom where the janitor goes full Henry Cavill. He has a fallout with Gus the Gorilla, who he just plunges without stalling. After duking it out with him, this man just takes a break and files his nails just to touch the pinball machine. Like, it's almost coming off like this is his love interest in the movie. So I guess that makes it the first sex scene of the film. There's then the rest of the cast, led by Liv, who's been trying to burn WILLY'S down since the prequel, but that just leads her to getting arrested and locked up in a trailer by who we see as her sheriff mama.
How am I supposed to take a piss?
There are chips on the coffee table and a bucket on the floor. Try not to make a mess.
You're a bitch!
Before she can even go number one, her friends pull up and break her out as we meet all of the cliche teens you get in a horror movie. The blonde, the brunette, the macho man, the wimp, the stoner, Chris Brown Jr.
Nice one, genius. The door was unlocked.
How am I supposed to know that?
The script? They pull up to WILLY'S where they drench the entire place with gasoline, yet it isn't until they're completely done that Liv decides to mention, oh yeah guys, there's a dude in there.
Hey, sir!
Liv ends up breaking in through the roof as she crawls through the vents, just barely escaping an attack. And the Five Nights at Freddy's allegations, after tying a round one with this creepy fairy, she ends up losing another one-on-one with the janitor who just straight up ignores her as the rest of her team just falls through the roof. Surprised they didn't die of asbestos. Once they're reunited, Liv decides to give them the LME on the place and how it used to be run by a serial killer named Jerry Robert Willis. Throughout the 80s, him and his crew would throw surprise parties where they would surprise parties by killing them one family at a time. And it wasn't until enough bodies went missing that the higher-ups finally got involved, and as they burst in, the killers ended up swapping their souls into the animatronics, like quickly setting up the satanic ritual like it's child's play. Less than 3 years later, that big hat Tex guy decides to buy the place and is even ready to reopen it faster than Jurassic Park. But the thing is, the robots keep rearranging kids more than a Chuck E. Cheese pizza, so they have to shut it down again. And these things are brutal, like, even before they touch you.
Wanna fuck, daddy? Wanna play, bitch?
During all of this, these two surprisingly get written to have the obligatory teen sex scene in the room where the killers did the ritual.
Yeah, burn, baby, burn.
Yeah, I guess her acting range isn't as big as her man's age gap.
Well, that was rude.
Teen number 4 ends up getting gutted by the night, and since it's way more than just a scratch, the rest of his friends just banana split. All on Nick Pinball. But what's interesting about this one is that it was supposed to be a pirate, but Cage wanted it to be a knight, so it was a night, just so he can kill it and say night-night.
It's gotta be a little entertaining.
We then get a montage of kills from the fairy siren who murders another teen and almost me with those strobe lights, the chameleon who's really scummy because before getting you, it wants to pry on your fears and emotions, and then the crocodile whose climax scene comes before these two, only to then get finished off by the janitor. All while this girl's staring out like it's contagious. Turns out that the cops are also in on it because the killings kept going on even after they shut it down, especially after they tried to bulldoze WILLY'S. So in order to stop the town killing, they made a deal with the demon robots to set up a road trap for any visitors who were passing through, and making it so they would have to spend the night at WILLY'S, becoming that sacrifice. And they've been doing this for like 20 years.
I got a guy for you. All right, let's get the hell out of here. I can't stand to hear a grown man scream.
The extra twist is that the sheriff adopted Liv after surviving a night at WILLY'S, and that's why she's been so eager to burn it down. The janitor then mops the chameleon, combo punches Tito and Sarah, but then gets stopped by the sheriff, who's super worried that they've pissed off Willie Sr. And it's gotta be like the goofiest thing to just be tied up and hearing a full-grown adult go,
Willie, this guy does not act for us. His actions should in no way reflect on the town of Hayesville. You know that, right, Willie?
After learning that this man has single-handedly taken out 2 of them, which they haven't been able to do in decades, they leave him there tied up for the final boss battles. And it even came with a soundtrack. This man's now knocking them out by their heads, shoulders, knees, and toes. And even with his arms tied, Cage proves that Nick's thighs ends lives.
And directing Nick, we just saw the character eye to eye. He thought that the animatronics were trash. That was what he felt. That's why he didn't even give him any respect, you know?
Meanwhile, the deputy who's been told to drive Liv back home doesn't realize that he took takeout, and the Mexican robots are slicing him up like some chimichangas. But did they really have the subtitle, my boy?
Sucks to be you, chica.
Sucks to be you, pendejo.
The real disrespect is having this man, robot demon, loose to a high schooler with a gun that had no bullets. The janitor then cleans up one more time to make sure that this reaches feature length, and then struts up to Willie, who's just been chilling the whole movie. And what's interesting is that the movie was actually going to be called WILLY'S Wonderland, with them even having a short film with that name. But when it came to the full movie, they couldn't clear it, so now we get to make a bunch of jokes.
Are you going to answer the question?
No. I told them that was off limits. I told you that was off limits. I'm out of here.
I just asked how big your Willie was.
After cleaning up the place, the sheriff holds him at gunpoint after waiting outside, bringing him back in order to offer him up. But instead, Willie gives her the half-off special. This is also where the movie was going to get really artsy, with the director saying that they had a lot of David Lynch-type transitions over the confetti. One of the things that does make it are these shots filmed on what they called the Rage Cage cam that was locked in on him and was made to look super choppy by dropping it down to 18 frames per second. I know that the writer even said that they have an idea for a sequel, so maybe that includes more backstory for Nick Cage, since I know he said he was already inspired by Charles Bronson from Once Upon a Time in the West. It's one of Nick's favorite movies, and I can confirm is a certified classic. But since both of those characters are pretty quiet, it could just be him going to different places, Like they could amp it up so it's at a whole theme park, and yet he still doesn't say anything, because even here, there was supposed to be one line at the end, and they cut that too. For the final battle, the weigh-in was just completely off. Willard's beating him on the arm length. He's got home court advantage. Not to mention, he's completely fresh while Nick's like on his 6th fight. But after getting slashed like Jim Caviezel, the janitor beheads Willie like John, baptizing his name in its blood. In the end, that fairy Sarah Siren survives, blowing up the town cowboys and herself as the janitor cleans house and drives away, surviving long enough to live another day.
That is one tough hombre.
Overall, I think it hits all the horror basics, even if it does end up being a little corny at times, but I think it's a fun watch. I know that the debate now is whether it's riding against Five Nights at Freddy's. And look, honestly, that movie was getting so delayed for so long that something needed to scratch that itch.
Oh, that over there. Yeah, we were gonna get it, but they just didn't.
Plus, there's always going to be doubles, especially when it comes to horror, because while a project may pioneer something, it doesn't mean that it owns it. If anything, they're now competitors, keeping each other on their toes, just like Marvel and DC, Star Wars and Star Trek, Coke and Pepsi, Casey Affleck and Girls His Age. But all I know is that out of their first movies, I gotta give round 1 to Willie.
Anyway,
thank you all for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on this movie or what other horror film you want me to cover on this channel. I'm curious to know if you're Team Frederick or you're Team Williams, and also what is the best horror versus so far. Let me know down below, and until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and hit that bell so I can send you a 6-pack of Punch Soda.